right? I've been talking about this for the last couple weeks. So we're gonna do some. Did you choose hospitality, or did hospitality choose you? And as you can see, I have Mr. Dylan Beaumont here. He's a GM at the Fairfield Inn by Marriott in Eugene, Oregon. So thank you so much, Dylan, for coming.
Go Ducks.
Woo, woo, woo. So yeah, okay. So how are you doing? First of all, I have to make some small talk here. How are you doing? How's the day going?
It's it's been a good day. I have one of the highest possible tier guests I could have for Marriott, and the undisclosed tier type of guest.
Okay.
First time for us having a member that high staying with us. And I also had a distinguished guest last night separate from that. So I had a lot of excitement on the property, and that's kind of the excitement that gives this job that change that you need every now and then to spice it up.
That's
Good
true.
day.
That's
Good
true.
day
That's
for sure.
good. 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 Yeah. Dylan shared with me. I can't share with you either, but yeah, he shared with me a VIP guest that he has, or several VIP guests he has in. So you just never know, right?
Never
But
know.
it's just one of those situations that you just got to be ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, right?
It's always a pleasure if somebody reaches out and says, I have something special for you, or we're working on something. We want to know if we can have your help. That's when
Hmm.
you step up your game and you make things happen and you make that experience work for whichever guest they're specifying. And, we have everyday guests we enjoy all the same, but sometimes you get a different one, something that challenges you, something that requires logistics, and it keeps you on your toes. It's what's the spice, like I said, that keeps the job from being boring.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, I know we all are, busy in our days, and I have just one question for Dylan to ask. But before I ask this one question, I just want to let people know that you are more than welcome to make comments. If anyone's out there, we encourage, involvement and asking questions and all that kind of stuff. Engagement, that's the word I'm trying to look for. So I encourage engagement. So please feel free if you have questions, go ahead and ask them. But my one question to Dylan is, and this is it, this is the only question I have today. Did you choose hospitality, or did hospitality choose you?
It's a good question. See, when I went to college, what I studied was history, geography, and political science. So I was thinking I'd be in the political realm or teaching history or curator of a museum. And the career I ended up in during college ended up being a walk-in job where I applied at a hotel, and it started with mixed shifts, some PM, some audit, that rough turnaround,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually came to a stable full-time schedule. And by the time I had put a few years in, I was exploring how to move up and how to transition. So really, hospitality chose me because I wasn't seeking the hospitality path. I wasn't seeking to work in hotels.
Mm-hmm.
It just sort of happened. I'm sure that's the same for a lot of people. Is you're in, you start exploring. Well, I could do a career change, or I could try to move up and advance within this career, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
I ended up choosing to do.
So did you have an aha moment, like you were going through and you weren't sure what you wanted to do, but then all of a sudden you just like, maybe this is a viable career choice. At what point did you get to that?
I had been on the hourly hotel kind of tier of jobs, like a line employee tier, but doing a lot of managerial tasks, and I was always that person who wanted to make myself indispensable. And eventually I came to Dolphin Bay Resort and Spa in Shell Beach, California. And at the time I came on, it was a new resort, and there wasn't a lot of people there with experience. Now, if you come from experience, even as a young person, you bring a lot of knowledge with you unknowingly. You have that innate senses about you that benefit hospitality. And so a lot of the things that had been built up in me, training and procedures and protocol and controls that you didn't know you knew, I knew. So I
Hmm.
was in the right place at the right time to go from being an hourly employee to graduate up to being part of the management team. And so
Wow.
as a young guy in your 20s, and not my 20s anymore, mind you, but as a young guy in my 20s then, I was able to benefit that business, giving them pieces of my knowledge I'd accumulated in the previous 6 years in hospitality, and that they may not have thought about. Things like making sure that your credit card authorization machine is authorizing just for room tax and incidentals. Theirs was set up to authorize for rental cars. So it's authorizing for an extra 500. And yeah, you can't do that to a nightly customer. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
kill their debit card if they use it. You have people who aren't able to buy dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So there were little things I was noticing that weren't done. They weren't even balancing their end of night batches. I just happened to be in the right place, right time. So I guess I could say it was a nice crash course for me in management and probably
Mm-hmm.
for them in hospitality procedures.
Okay.
So what you really don't realize that you're accumulating when you're in a branded hotel or a hotel with a lot of SOPs, standard operating procedures,
Mm-hmm.
is you're learning all those pieces. And so you go somewhere else that might not have it in place, you could benefit them and sharpen up their business just with what you know off the top of your head.
Mm. Very good. Love it. What advice would you give for someone that's coming up? Um, maybe they're in the hospitality space or maybe they're not, and they're kind of mulling over different career choices. What advice would you give them?
If you're interested in hospitality, the recession, if you want to call it that, since the pandemic, if you want to call it that, since all of these great resignation, whatever term you want to use, since that point to now, this has been the time to take advantage of this situation and enter hospitality. If you want career advancement, if you want opportunity to not be held back, this is really the time. We're not in hospitality, people aren't trying to hold workers back right now. If you're showing ambition, if you have an interest in moving up, being an assistant general manager, a front office manager, that's going to be welcome news to a lot of properties. Because we've seen a lot of depletion and retirements. A portion of the oldest generation of our employees saw it as time to move on or move to other industries or just retire in general. And with that loss, there is upward trajectory available. So if you think about it, this is the best time for someone to enter hospitality, but it's also the best time to voice your aspirations. And I don't think anybody should feel intimidated because when you voice that you want to be that person in the room, you want to participate in those calls and those meetings, the minute you're invited in that room, people are rooting for you. People aren't inviting you in that room to suppress you or hold you back. The minute you get invited to those calls, you shouldn't feel intimidated. You shouldn't feel like it's not a place for you. It is the place for you. And those people wouldn't invite you in unless they wanted you to do well. And if maybe you don't know those terms on the first few calls that come across, those industry abbreviations, if people are throwing hurdles out there, they're talking, all in a foreign dialect, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Just stay a few calls. It'll make sense. You can ask questions because the biggest, I think, misconception is once you get invited into middle management that you need to know these things already. No one knows these things already.
Exactly.
You're
You're
invited in the
absolutely right.
room. You're invited to take calls. You're invited to the big table. Be a student, but know that you're welcome and people are rooting for you. And once you're at that point in time, you're their future. You're their business's investment. They're investing in you.
Very good. I love it. I love it. Okay, last question. Okay, you didn't give us your progression. Well, I guess it's not a question. Give us your career progression to where you started to where you are now in the hospitality space.
Yes, I started, like I said, with a mix PM and night audit shifts, and I was at a Comfort Suites in Fresno, California. It was a new Comfort Suites, and it was sold out almost every night. So it was so rough at that time, the phone never stopped ringing. And it had that critically annoying 3 rings for every ring. And that will stay in your psyche after you leave
Yes.
work for hours. You're hearing that ring. You're at IHOP having dinner. You're hearing
Mm.
that ring. It is brutal. But that was a busy, busy property, and so that was like learning by like being thrown into the fire. You
Mm-hmm.
were thrown to the wolves,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
every night sold out. and it didn't give you much chance to breathe. You had to look for the empty moments in your shift to take care of your shift checklist. So I had that situation there in Central California, and I eventually moved to the Central Coast of California to become a full-time night auditor for Oxford Suites.
Mm.
And that was nice. Central California had better pay, better environment, better weather, and it's nice when you also see that you have potential for career progression. If you don't see there's a progression available for you, I do think people should become antsy. I think people should challenge that idea, and they should look around. You shouldn't feel like you're in a rut. If you're putting too many years in the same position, you need to do right by yourself and consider other situations out there. So once I was a full-time auditor for Oxford Suites, that was in Pismo Beach, California. I had then, a couple years later, investigated the opportunity for Dolphin Bay Resort and Spa. And the years I put in at Dolphin Bay, that allowed me to transition from being just a night auditor to a part of the management team, budget team, all sorts of different managerial committees. It was a nice learning experience. And that brings me up to the recession in California, 2008. I had so many people who told me, if you're ever unemployed, ever, just call me, just drive over, I got a job for you. But during the recession in 2008, all those people all fell through. I mean, just one by one. It was really frustrating because I took my paycheck, my last paycheck at Dolphin Bay, when they were laying a lot of people off because it was a recession and it was luxury hospitality, and people had just lost 45% of their life savings, and they weren't staying in luxury hospitality. And as workers were being let go, I wanted to pursue my own course. I didn't want to be let go. I wanted to actually go and attain another job on my own. However, all these solid things that I had lined up all fell through because of the recession. So I moved up to Oregon and restarted here with Alco Hotels Incorporated, a 5 to 6 hotel group here in Eugene, Oregon. All our properties are within a mile of each other, and worked my way back up to management, and now managing the Fairfield by Marriott Eugene here in Eugene, Oregon, just a couple miles from the University of Oregon. Go Ducks.
Very good. All right. All right. Give us the specifics of your hotel. Like how
So
many rooms,
we're
the
81
resort.
rooms. We definitely cater to university business, and what we're known for in Eugene, Oregon, it's called Tracktown USA. And I know you know because people may not know this, but Russell and I get a chance to talk many times a month on his lives on Instagram, and we have the opportunity to talk about these events that go on here in Eugene, Oregon. A lot of track and field events, a lot of athletics go on here. So we have the opportunity to host a lot of world-class track and field events here. And so during the year, we have, of course, college graduation, which is huge. We have all these track and field events, both on the pro level, on the collegiate level, but also on the high school level. So we get a lot of cool, unique events to our community. So that's what my market caters to. We're here in an area between Eugene, Oregon, and Springfield, Oregon. The neighborhood I'm in is in between both of them. So when I have guests who are asking where to eat, I can send them to either downtown, and either downtown's less than 2 miles away. So there's a lot of niche places. Eugene is a very eclectic community, so there's a lot of unique diets that is catered to, and cool stuff here.
Very good. All right. All right. Well, you know what? That's it, Dylan. That's all I wanted to know. It was painful, right? Or painless, excuse me, right? Painless.
Yeah, talking to you is always very natural. You had a compliment from Valdine Duran, who had said, "You're always natural at this." He always envies how natural you are at hosting.
Well, I appreciate that from Waldine, and of course I appreciate that from you. But I appreciate your time. I mean, this is not the first time you and I have talked. We talk quite a bit. We do these lives together. But yes, but I could think of no one that I needed to have on here first to do this. So as we know now, hospitality chose Dylan. He didn't choose hospitality.
No,
Hospitality chose him. So
definitely
thank you so
chose
much,
me.
Dylan. All right, all right. So thank you so much. See, we're at 15 minutes. See, I said 20 minutes. We're at 15, and this is perfect, right? So we want to thank Dylan again. We appreciate you coming on to the first ever episode of Did You Choose Hospitality or Did Hospitality Choose You? So anyway, you have a great day. You guys have a great day as well. And we'll do another one tomorrow. So have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Peace.